In a quiet African village surrounded by tall acacia trees and golden sunlight, there lived a young girl named Amara. She was known in the village for her curious mind and kind heart. Every evening, the villagers gathered around a warm fire while the elders shared stories filled with wisdom. One night, an old wise woman named Mama Zuri began telling a story about love and understanding. Amara listened carefully, her eyes shining with curiosity. After the story ended, Amara softly asked, "Mama Zuri, how can someone become an understanding girlfriend?" The old woman smiled gently and said, "Life will teach you, child. But you must watch, listen, and learn from the people around you." In the following days, Amara started paying attention to the couples in her village. She saw moments of happiness, laughter, and also moments of misunderstanding. Sometimes people argued because they didn't listen to each other. Other times, problems were solved when someone showed patience and kindness. One afternoon, Amara saw two young villagers arguing near the river. Instead of walking away, she calmly spoke to them and helped them understand each other's feelings. Her calm words and patient attitude helped them solve their problem. That moment taught Amara an important lesson. Being an understanding girlfriend was not just about love. It was about listening with patience, respecting feelings, and staying calm during difficult moments. That evening, as the village drums played and people danced under the stars, Amara shared what she had learned with the other girls. The wise Mama Zuri smiled proudly. And from that day on, Amara was not only known as a kind girl, but also as a wise one who understood the true meaning of love and understanding. The next morning, the African village woke up to the warm golden sunlight spreading across the fields. Birds sang from the tall acacia trees, and the villagers slowly began their daily work. Amara walked toward the river to collect water, thinking deeply about the lesson Mama Zuri had shared the night before. As she filled her clay pot, she noticed a young couple sitting nearby under a tree. Their faces looked tense. They were arguing quietly, both upset and refusing to listen to each other. Amara remembered Mama Zuri's words, "Watch, listen, and learn." Instead of ignoring them, Amara gently walked closer. With a calm voice, she said, "Sometimes the heart speaks softly, but anger makes it hard to hear." The couple looked at her in surprise. Amara encouraged them to speak one at a time and truly listen to each other's feelings. Slowly, their anger faded. They began to understand the misunderstanding between them. By the end of the conversation, both of them were smiling again. They thanked Amara for helping them see the situation more clearly. Amara continued walking home, realizing something important. Understanding in a relationship does not come from always being right. It comes from patience, respect, and the willingness to listen. That evening, the villagers gathered again around the fire as the drums echoed through the night air. Mama Zuri looked at Amara and asked, "What did you learn today, child?" Amara smiled and replied, "I learned that being an understanding girlfriend means having a calm heart and open ears." The old woman nodded proudly while the firelight danced across the faces of the villagers. In that peaceful African village, another small lesson of wisdom had been passed on to the next generation. The days passed, and Amara continued to observe the life of her peaceful African village. Every morning the sun rose slowly above the acacia trees, painting the sky with warm orange and golden colors. The villagers worked together in the fields, children laughed while playing near the river, and the sound of distant drums often filled the air. Amara remembered the lesson she had learned by the river. She now paid even closer attention to the way people treated each other. She noticed that the happiest couples in the village were not the ones who never had problems, but the ones who spoke kindly and listened with patience. One afternoon, while returning from the market, Amara saw her friend Nala sitting alone under a tree. Nala looked sad and worried. Amara sat beside her and gently asked what had happened. Nala explained that she had argued with the boy she cared about. She felt that he did not understand her feelings, and the argument had made her heart heavy. Amara listened quietly without interrupting. When Nala finished speaking, Amara calmly said, "Sometimes people do care, but they do not always know how to show it. Understanding begins when we listen with patience and speak with honesty." Her simple words made Nala think deeply. Later that evening, Nala spoke again with the boy, but this time with a calm heart. They both shared their feelings honestly and solved the misunderstanding. That night, the village gathered once again around the fire. Mama Zuri watched Amara helping and guiding others with kindness. The wise woman smiled softly. She knew that Amara was no longer just learning the lesson. She was living it. And slowly, the young girl of the village was becoming a symbol of wisdom, patience, and true understanding in the hearts of everyone around her. The days passed, and Amara continued to observe the life of her peaceful African village. Every morning the sun rose slowly above the acacia trees, painting the sky with warm orange and golden colors. The villagers worked together in the fields, children laughed while playing near the river, and the sound of distant drums often filled the air. Amara remembered the lesson she had learned by the river. She now paid even closer attention to the way people treated each other. She noticed that the happiest couples in the village were not the ones who never had problems, but the ones who spoke kindly and listened with patience. One afternoon, while returning from the market, Amara saw her friend Nala sitting alone under a tree. Nala looked sad and worried. Amara sat beside her and gently asked what had happened. Nala explained that she had argued with the boy she cared about. She felt that he did not understand her feelings, and the argument had made her heart heavy. Amara listened quietly without interrupting. When Nala finished speaking, Amara calmly said, "Sometimes people do care, but they do not always know how to show it. Understanding begins when we listen with patience and speak with honesty." Her simple words made Nala think deeply. Later that evening, Nala spoke again with the boy, but this time with a calm heart. They both shared their feelings honestly and solved the misunderstanding. That night, the village gathered once again around the fire. Mama Zuri watched Amara helping and guiding others with kindness. The wise woman smiled softly. She knew that Amara was no longer just learning the lesson. She was living it. And slowly, the young girl of the village was becoming a symbol of wisdom, patience, and true understanding in the hearts of everyone around her. Time passed. Amara's wisdom slowly became known throughout the village. People noticed that whenever there was tension or misunderstanding, Amara's calm voice often brought peace. She never rushed to judge anyone. Instead, she listened carefully and spoke with kindness. One warm afternoon, the village was preparing for a small celebration. Colorful fabrics hung between the trees, women prepared food, and the sound of drums echoed across the open fields. Children ran happily around the huts while elders sat together sharing stories. But suddenly, a disagreement began between two young men who were helping prepare the celebration. What started as a small misunderstanding quickly turned into anger. Their voices grew louder, and soon many villagers gathered around them. Amara watched quietly for a moment. Then she stepped forward with calm confidence. She gently asked both men to pause and breathe. At first, they were too angry to listen, but Amara remained patient. She spoke softly. When anger speaks first, the heart cannot be heard. Her words made the crowd silent. Slowly, the two men began to explain their sides of the story. Amara encouraged them to listen to each other without interrupting. After a few minutes, they realized that the problem had been caused by a simple misunderstanding. Their anger faded, and soon they laughed at how such a small mistake had grown into such a big argument. The celebration continued, and the drums played louder than before. The villagers danced under the glowing sunset, while joy filled the air again. Later that night, Mama Zuri sat beside Amara near the fire. The old woman looked at her proudly and said, "You have learned the true power of understanding." Amara smiled softly, knowing that being understanding was not just a lesson anymore. It had become a part of who she was. Months passed in the peaceful African village, and Amara continued to grow wiser with each new experience. The golden sun still rose every morning over the wide savanna, and the village remained full of life, music, and laughter. Yet Amara knew that life always brought both joy and challenges. One evening, dark clouds gathered in the sky, and a strong wind began to blow through the village. People hurried to secure their homes and animals before the storm arrived. During the confusion, Amara noticed a young couple arguing loudly near the edge of the village. The storm was coming quickly, but their anger seemed even stronger. Both of them felt hurt, and neither wanted to listen to the other. Amara walked toward them calmly, even as the wind carried dust through the air. She spoke gently. "A storm outside is powerful, but the storm inside the heart can be even stronger." Her words caught their attention. Amara encouraged them to take a moment to breathe and speak honestly about what they felt. Slowly, their anger softened. They began to understand that fear and stress had made them speak harshly to each other. Just then, the rain began to fall heavily. Amara guided them and others nearby into a safe shelter. Inside the small hut, villagers sat together while the rain poured outside and thunder echoed across the land. In that quiet moment, the couple thanked Amara for helping them calm their hearts before the storm became worse. Later that night, when the rain had stopped and the stars appeared again, the village felt peaceful once more. Amara realized something important. Understanding was not only needed in peaceful moments. It was even more important during the storms of life. And those who stayed calm during difficult times often helped others find peace too. After the great storm passed, the African village slowly returned to its peaceful rhythm. The fields smelled fresh after the rain, and the river flowed stronger than before. Villagers worked together to repair small damages caused by the wind. Despite the storm, the spirit of the village remained strong. Amara walked through the village that morning, greeting people with a warm smile. Many villagers now respected her wisdom, even though she was still young. They had seen how her calm nature helped people solve problems and understand each other. One afternoon, Mama Zuri called Amara to sit beside her under a large acacia tree. The old woman looked at her kindly and said, "You have learned much, my child. But there is one more lesson you must understand." Amara listened carefully. Mama Zuri continued, "Sometimes, being an understanding person also means knowing when to be silent. Not every argument needs your voice. Sometimes people must discover the truth on their own." Those words stayed in Amara's mind. A few days later, she saw two of her friends arguing again near the market. Her first instinct was to step in and help them, just as she had done before. But then she remembered Mama Zuri's lesson. Instead of interrupting, Amara stayed nearby and quietly observed. After some time, the two friends began to calm down by themselves. They talked, listened, and finally solved their misunderstanding without anyone's help. Amara smiled softly. She realized that wisdom was not only about speaking the right words. It was also about knowing the right moment to stay quiet. That evening, as the sun slowly disappeared behind the distant hills, Amara felt grateful for the lessons life continued to teach her in the heart of her beautiful village. As the seasons slowly changed, life in the African village continued with its beautiful rhythm. The tall grass moved gently with the wind, and the sound of drums often echoed across the open land at night. Amara had grown wiser with every lesson she learned. One bright afternoon, the village prepared for a special gathering. People from nearby villages were coming to celebrate a traditional festival. Colorful clothes, joyful music, and the smell of delicious food filled the air. During the celebration, Amara noticed a young girl named Lela sitting quietly away from the crowd. While everyone else was dancing and laughing, Lela looked worried and lost in her thoughts. Amara walked over and sat beside her. With a gentle smile, she asked, "Why are you sitting here alone while everyone is celebrating?" Lela sighed and explained that she had been having many disagreements with the boy she cared about. She felt confused and did not know how to make the relationship better. Amara listened patiently, remembering all the lessons she had learned from Mama Zuri and from life in the village. After a moment, she softly said, "Understanding someone does not mean losing yourself. It means respecting both your heart and theirs." Lela looked at Amara with surprise. No one had explained it to her that way before. Amara continued, "A strong relationship is built when two people listen to each other and respect each other's feelings." Lela slowly smiled, feeling lighter than before. She realized that she did not need to force everything to be perfect. She only needed honesty, patience, and understanding. As the night grew darker, the drums became louder and the villagers danced beneath the bright stars. Amara joined the celebration, knowing that another small lesson had been shared in the heart of the village. And the wisdom of understanding continued to spread from one heart to another. The moon shone brightly over the African village, lighting the quiet paths between the small clay huts. The night air was calm, and the distant sound of drums slowly faded as people returned to their homes after the festival. Amara sat near the river, watching the moon's reflection in the water. She thought about all the lessons she had learned during the past months. From Mama Zuri's wisdom to the experiences of the villagers, every moment had taught her something new about patience, kindness, and understanding. As she sat there, Mama Zuri slowly walked toward her with the help of her wooden staff. The old woman sat beside Amara and looked at the peaceful river. "You have grown much, my child," Mama Zuri said gently. Amara smiled but replied humbly, "I am still learning." Mama Zuri nodded. "That is the secret of wisdom. The day someone believes they know everything is the day they stop learning." For a moment, both of them sat in silence, listening to the soft sound of the flowing water. Then Mama Zuri added, "You have learned how to understand others. But remember one more thing. Never forget to understand yourself." Amara looked thoughtful. She realized that sometimes people try so hard to understand others that they forget to listen to their own hearts. That night, Amara made a quiet promise to herself. She would continue helping others with patience and kindness, but she would also respect her own feelings and values. The stars sparkled above the village as a gentle wind moved through the trees. In that peaceful moment, Amara understood that true understanding was not only about relationships. It was also about balance between caring for others and staying true to yourself. The sun slowly rose over the African savanna, spreading warm golden light across the village. Birds sang from the tall acacia trees, and the peaceful sound of the morning breeze moved gently through the fields. It was the beginning of a new day, but for Amara, it felt like the start of a new chapter in her life. Over time, the lessons she had learned from Mama Zuri and from her own experiences had changed her. She was no longer just the curious girl who asked questions. She had become someone who truly understood people. Villagers often came to Amara when they felt confused or upset. She always welcomed them with patience, listening carefully before speaking. Her words were never loud or forceful, but they carried calm wisdom that helped others see things more clearly. One evening, the entire village gathered once again around the fire. The drums played softly, and the stars filled the night sky. Mama Zuri slowly stood up and looked at the villagers. "With time," she said, "every generation needs someone who carries the wisdom of understanding." She gently placed her hand on Amara's shoulder. "This young girl has learned that true understanding comes from patience, kindness, and a calm heart." The villagers smiled proudly and nodded in agreement. Amara felt both humble and grateful. She knew she was still learning, but she also understood the responsibility of sharing wisdom with others. As the villagers danced around the fire and laughter filled the night air, Amara looked up at the bright stars. She realized that love and understanding were not just lessons for relationships. They were the keys to bringing peace to every heart and every home. And in that beautiful African village, the story of understanding continued to live on.